decided to go above and beyond congested roadways. They fly to work. Bill Smith joins us with more on this story. Good morning, Bill.
Yes, good morning, Barbara. This trend is taking off really all over Southern California. You see it from Santa Barbara to Van Nuys. You see it here from Corona to Hawthorne, from San Bernardino into Santa Monica. They are trading these, no longer driving to work in one of these. Instead, they get together and they drive to work in one of these. Instead of carpooling, they call it plane pooling. Many of them, well, they start early, especially out here in Corona. This group started very early this morning, coming out to the airport at about 5:30. They all work in aerospace firms in the El Segundo area, but they live out here in the Corona Inland Empire area. So they hop on board the Cessna Cardinal. They all share the cost of flying, and check the oil, of course, before you take off. Always check the oil and the fuel before you go, and then hop into the Cessna Cardinal. They had a 90-minute drive, but instead of the 90-minute drive, they can turn that into what amounts to a 15-minute flight, trading a long drive for a short flight. Off they go. 1,000 or so feet below, the rest of us are plodding along. Even when traffic is moving well, the flying commuters are moving faster, 130 or so. By shortly after 6 a.m., the Cessna's landing light approaches Hawthorne Airport. Taxi to visitors parking. $2.50 for 12 hours, not bad. As Dale Plong parks his freeway-beating Cessna Cardinal for the day. Expensive?
It's expensive, but we share it. You know, we split the cost 4 ways, so that really makes it affordable for everybody.
Who came up with this idea?
I did out of desperation.
How'd you drift into this?
I saw a sign Dale had posted at work wanting to get on the plane as a backup, and then when somebody left, I went on full time.
So you had to wait for this spot?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Well worth waiting for, they say, to avoid being stuck by things like this. By firing up the Cessna and heading out, the flight from Corona to Hawthorne, often a 90-minute commute down there, is barely 15 minutes up here. Looking down on the people, what do you think about those people down there on the freeway?
Well, I've been there, so I know what it's like. I feel for them, actually.
When you look down on those poor people below on the freeway, what do you think?
Thank God they're not all flying.
So it's into that old clunker they keep here at the airport. Time for just a short drive to those nearby aerospace jobs in very nearby El Segundo, as they start the day much fresher than the rest of us do. No freeway frustrations for them. These people are, well, they're just above it all. Obviously, this wouldn't work for everybody. You couldn't have hundreds of thousands of cars traded into hundreds of thousands of airplanes up there. That wouldn't work. But for more and more people, instead of driving, they're flying to work. Next hour, we'll talk with some of the other passengers as they trade carpooling for plane pooling. Jennifer York is the only one I know who gets to fly to work.
I love it.
Pretty good.
I love it. What we need is a place to land right here at KTLA, and I'm sure we'd all be doing that.
Just get rid of that parking lot and put in a runway. Yeah.
Blow down those buildings. Thanks so much, Bill Smith. Mental health.
Good morning, Bill Smith in the Inland Empire. Tired of the morning rush hour drive? Want to trade carpooling in one of these for plane pooling in one of these? More and more people are taking off to beat the rush hour. That story coming up live from Corona.
I'm Sam Rubin of the Channel 5.
Angry commuters looking for a solution to time spent stuck in snarled traffic. Well,
one group of workers in Corona have decided to go above and beyond, taking the high road, you might say, of those congested roadways. They fly to work. Bill Smith, who of course knows all about flying around, is more on the story. Bill?
Very flighty person here, yeah. Here at the Corona Airport, bright sun. I've got my aviation sunglasses on. Not just this group, but groups all around Southern California. From Santa Barbara's airport, they fly into Van Nuys. From Palmdale, they fly down to Burbank. Out here at Corona, they fly over to Hawthorne, and others as well. People are trading in their cars. You'll find a vacant spot here. The plane is gone. The car is here. Instead of carpoolers, they now call themselves plane poolers.
One time we came.
Donna Scharf has been commuting above the rush hour, Inland Empire to El Segundo, for 11 years now.
The advantages of that, though, are, I mean, we get an opportunity to see sunrise way above the air every day. It's beautiful. We've seen so many beautiful sights up here that a lot of people in their whole lifetimes are not going to get a chance to see. So, it's neat.
Rick Raffa has been plane pooling instead of carpooling for less than a year, says the advantages go way beyond the time savings.
I think the mental factor of knowing that
You're not going to be sitting in traffic, and from point to point, you're actually going to see some really beautiful things rather than getting frustrated and angry. Yeah.
So each morning they take off before the sun, swapping a 90-minute drive for a 15-minute flight to Hawthorne, where they stash an old car for that short drive to their El Segundo aerospace jobs. When you look down on those poor people below on the freeway, what do you think?
Thank God they're not all flying.
Yep, 3 flyers plus the pilot and plane owner, Dale Plong, all rising above the morning madness. Happening all over the place again. It won't happen with everybody. I mean, you couldn't take a couple of 100,000 cars and suddenly put them in the air. So keep the cars on the ground and then let these folks out of the air. They've really come up with a good idea, and if you're wondering what it costs, well, they split the fee, and it costs about $50 a week to do this. Of course, the guy that owns the airplane, he ends up paying the airplane costs beyond all that because it's his airplane, but sharing the ride, about $10 a day in fuel. Not a bad way to beat the rush hour. Reporting live from Corona, where they left us behind, and we'll have to drive back to Hollywood. Bill Smith, Carlos and Barbara, back to you.
Not flying back,
That is a bargain.
Okay, Bill,
Can
thanks.
they do it for that?